Okay, let's get a little bit like more technical here. So,
Yeah.
I know some people are really stressed out about like the criteria for a portfolio.
Yeah.
And they want to put their best foot forward. So what are some of the things that evaluators are looking at when they look at, I don't know, evaluator is probably the wrong word, but when they're looking at a portfolio, what are they assessing? What are they looking for? What are some of those pieces that people should be considering when they're designing or imagining or creating their portfolio?
That's a great question. So I always emphasize to creatives, make sure you read those instructions for each school. That sounds really obvious, but you'll see certain schools have very specific portfolios. Others are a little more open-ended. So never assume that a portfolio is the same for each institution. That ultimately can lead to some errors within your portfolio prep. So I find the first step is really doing that research. Look at the schools you're interested in and make notes of what they're looking for in each portfolio and maybe make some reminders for yourself on how each portfolio is different. Some schools you can have a little more specifics, so they'll really outline what materials they want to see, what sizes they're looking for. Where OCAD University is a little more open-ended. So thinking about our portfolio, we're looking for 8 to 10 finished pieces. A piece of advice would be to make sure at least half of your portfolio reflects the program you're applying to. Now, this might sound like an obvious, but when you're preparing your portfolio, you want to demonstrate that you understand what program you're applying to. So we want to make sure that when you're preparing works in the portfolio, that you can show us some skills and techniques that you're exploring that are related to the program. Now, we're not expecting anyone to be an expert, so take a deep breath. Skill and technique's great, but it's not everything. We just want to see that you're exploring some of these skills and techniques either in the classroom or in your own time that are related to the program you're looking to apply to. That way your reviewer gets a really good understanding that you know what program you're applying to. So never assume that they understand your ambitions. I think having half of your portfolio reflect the program you're looking to apply to is a visual way to show that, yes, this is the program I'm excited about. Within the other half of your portfolio, definitely feel free to include a variety of skills and techniques that speak to you as a creative. So when I applied to drawing and painting, I ensured at least half of my portfolio had drawings and paintings, and I explored some different mediums. So acrylic was something I felt really comfortable with, but I also was exploring watercolor a little bit more, and I also took some risks with charcoal. So make sure that you take this opportunity to experiment, show your curiosity and your excitement to work with different materials. Like this is the time to do so, to experiment with those ideas that maybe have been kicking around with your sketchbook or they're in the back of your mind. This is the time to explore them. Why not explore it right now? In the other half of my portfolio, I had very architectural based works. So the reason why I wanted to add that in was I really wanted my reviewer to understand that I did have this design background as a part of me as as an artist and designer. It's never going to leave my practice. It's something that ultimately makes me unique as an artist and designer. So within that other half of your portfolio, please feel free to show a variety of other ways you like to work and different processes or themes you like to explore, because ultimately these aspects are always going to seep back into your practice. So make sure you reflect who you are as an artist and designer within your portfolio. I find the more passionate you are about each work in the portfolio, it also really helps you write descriptions about your work. So for OCAD, and within our portfolio, you get 50-word text box descriptions to really describe to the portfolio reviewer what they're looking at or why you included this work in the portfolio, maybe to chat about some processes. There's not a right or wrong way to describe what we're looking at, but it's just a way for us to feel like we're engaging with you in conversation. So as a portfolio submission's done online, we really miss that aspect of being able to talk to you about your work. So feel free to provide those descriptions. I would say if you don't provide those descriptions, it's almost like going to a job interview and not saying anything. How can we engage with your passion and your interest within this program if you're not speaking to us? So use those text box descriptions as a conversational way to just really highlight your interests and why this works in the portfolio. Ultimately, that's what really gets me excited when I talk to folks about their portfolio, and it really does advocate your passion. So I just want to emphasize that those aren't something we take for granted. I think that's one of the biggest components of your visual portfolio when you're submitting to OCAD.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to translate your passion.
Mhm.
Like the few galleries that I've been to, it's one thing to look at a piece, but when the artist is standing beside you and explaining where this piece came from and what it really is about, like the piece just comes to life in a whole new way. And I think 50 words is not a lot to communicate that, but it's better than zero. So
Yeah, for sure.
put those really meaningful words into place and help that passion to shine through, because I think it just adds a whole other dimension to the pieces that you're submitting,
Yeah.
which is just so cool.
And I would say, like, just treat it like you're sitting across from me at a table. If you want to make it more conversational, because we've never met you before, treat it like you're introducing your work to me for the first time. So maybe, 50 words isn't a lot, but if you want to preemptively type them out, you can always show them to friends and family and have them read them over and say, what do you take away from this little blurb when it's paired next to my work? I did that with friends and family, and it really did ease that, oh my goodness, it's only 50 words. How do I describe all of these ideas I had? But showing other people your little blurbs will help you feel more confident about what you're putting down on paper. And I'm also always here if you want to email me and chat about your portfolio. I am here to have those conversations with you if you're not sure how to get started on writing those statements.
I love that. I think there's just so many things that this represents. And I know a lot of the people that I work with, they feel great pressure to put something together, because it's a finite way to express your infinite creativity, which can feel really, really overwhelming.